You are now in tune with
Mamba Radio.
What up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into Brown Mamba Radio. For those out there who don't know, my name is Jackson, and happy Monday. Hopefully you guys all had a great weekend, and happy Rusev Day. Hopefully you, like I said, hope you guys all enjoyed your weekend, and if you were out in Vegas enjoying EDC, hopefully you guys all had a great time. It looked like it was really fun. Hopefully you guys, recover well, and in order to make it through the week. Like I said, I don't even. I've never been to EDC myself, but like I said, it looks like it's even crazier than like any other festival that's out there. Like I said, up there with like Coachella, Lollapalooza, stuff like that. It looks freaking nuts. So like I said, I'm with you, and I hope, like I said, I hope nothing but the best for you guys. Like I said, so. But for everyone else who didn't go, hopefully you guys all enjoyed your weekend. And if you were in LA, like I was for the weekend, there were a ton of food events. So like I said, if you stuck around for those, like EatsCon, there was all the food stuff over at Grand Park. There were some other smaller stuff here and there. But like I said, if you were in the LA area, hopefully you stuffed your face and got full on a lot of good food, like I did. So maybe a little bit TMI, but sometimes all that food, like I said, it's delicious. It's great. I had a lot of good stuff out there. A lot of spicy food. As someone who, as much as I don't like spice, I like spice. It can be much for me, but I just love the flavor of a lot of it. But as much as some spicy food, as good as it is going in, sometimes it's not so great on the other way out. So, like I said, there might be a little bit TMI, but listen, I think we all know the pain. So, that's what I've been dealing with this morning so far. But like I said, I'm good. And I'm ready to wrap up or recap what happened this weekend. Like I said, from the wild world of sports and beyond. So, let's get started with the NBA playoffs. Most importantly and most obviously, start with the game last night, Rockets and Warriors. It's another blowout. Just straight up, another blowout. Warriors with the huge win, 126-85, 41 points. I believe is the biggest playoff win ever. I know it is for the Warriors, and like that's a lot. A 41-point, difference is huge, and just crazy. And it's almost like that's like something you see in like the first round or something, not something you see in the conference finals. But that's been the theme. It's been the theme of this postseason, from the East and the West, and it's crazy. It really is, but I'll get to that a little bit later. But Warriors had to go back up to the Bay. It's the rejuvenation that they needed after Game 2, and if people say what they want about the Warriors fans and how they're bandwagon, they're fake, all these different, it's like the cool thing to do because you're a tech person with money or whatever. And all that is true. Don't get me wrong. All that is very true. But is there anything better than watching the Warriors just go off at home? You know what I mean? Just as much as fake fans as they are, at least they have good energy. They when the team is hot and the guys are making their shots and hitting threes, you know what I mean? Like the Splash Bros are going off, or KD's getting hot, or they're playing good defense, a big block, or anything like that. It's just great. You can feel the energy through the TV, and so that's the vibe that everyone felt. I think it's the vibe that I felt, and I think it's the vibe that the Warriors needed to feel as a team in order to help them get through this that pretty shitty Game 2. So. Yeah, it was just, like I said, just a good old-fashioned butt whooping. They, the Warriors were in control pretty much the whole game. They had the lead for pretty much the entire time. It got pretty close in the beginning, like it usually does. You know what I mean? Nothing too crazy, but once it hit the third quarter, the Warriors just turned that shit on, and they just never looked back. And I forgot to mention that their win last night was their 16th straight home playoff win. And that passed the 96 Bulls, if I believe. 96 Bulls broke their record. So, like I said, just another milestone for this historic team. And we all know maybe the circumstances in which they got together, wasn't. It's not the most. I guess people aren't the biggest fans of it, and I, myself included. But we are witnessing greatness, whether we like it or not. And so, like I said, I think we should kind of just a little bit, at least appreciate it a little bit. But yeah, like I said, the Warriors, like I said, they just firing on all cylinders, and they were just kicking ass. You know what I mean? It was, everybody did well. If you just look at the box scores from everybody, it's just great. Everyone's a plus on the team. There's no minuses for the plus minus, and I know plus minus isn't the be all end all, but it's a pretty good measure of how things went. Everyone was a plus. Everything was great. It's a typical big game from KD. Klay Thompson turned it up a little bit. He's still in a little bit of a slump, but still did great. You know what I mean? He was good on defense. Really helped put the clamps down on James Harden a little bit. But yeah, great game from everybody. KD at 25. Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, all 5 starters all had double digits. That's great. They got some help from Quinn Cook off the bench. He was the biggest scorer off the bench. But, of course, a lot of it was because he was in garbage time. But the big story that everyone is talking about, and it for rightfully so, but the big reason as to why, the Warriors just really kicked ass and played the way they did in Game 3 was because of Chef Curry. Chef Curry, all week or all towards the end of last week, leading into the weekend, the big story was, what's wrong with Steph? Is he hurt? Is there something going on? Is there this? Is it that? What's wrong with him? Maybe he's losing it, blah, 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 all that stuff. And like I said, look, Steph's going to be fine. We all knew he's going to be fine. And he told everybody, listen, shut up, sit down. Let me just do me, all right? And like I said, 35 points for Steph. 18 of those in the third quarter. Like I said, the third quarter was when they just turned that shit on and they never looked back. Which is, like I said, very typical for the Warriors to do. But last night, way much more so than usual. But yeah, Steph, like I said, just turned that shit on. Looked like he got his stroke back. 35 points, made 5 threes. He was 5 for 12 from 3. Not the greatest percentage, but listen, a lot of them were heat checks, so he was feeling it. But then 13 for 23 overall, and even though he made a lot of his threes, a lot of his most impressive shots, at least in my opinion, were his layups, getting to the rim, putting a body on somebody, not afraid to get up in there in the trees and stuff. And like I said, he just found his groove. That's like I said, it looked like he just needed to come home, just feel that energy. And like I said, he looks completely fine. Wish I could say the same for the Rockets. Not a good day at the office for the Rockets overall. It was mainly James Harden. He didn't have a typical James Harden game. Like I said, it kind of like with LeBron in Game 1. With James Harden in this game, he finished with 20 points. 20 points, 9 assists, 5 boards. He was 7 for 16, which is good, pretty efficient, somewhat efficient, 2 for 6, whatever, which is for a regular player or any other player, this is a pretty good stat line. You know what I mean? People would be happy with this stat line. A lot of them may be happy with these stat lines, but for a guy like James Harden, who is the perennial favorite for MVP, and I believe he's the leading scorer in the NBA this year, and for a guy who's getting all the attention and accolades that he's getting, it's not enough. And for a team that relies on him as much as the Rockets do, it's not enough. And you can obviously see why with that final score. But like I said, it wasn't a good day at the office for James Harden. In the box score, also as far as NBA Twitter goes, they had their fun with him. Steph Curry, sauced him a couple times. Then he, the one where he sauced him up a little bit, and hit that big 3 in his face, and then hit the shimmy afterwards. Oh, excuse me. And also when Sean Livingston hit him with that, you know, what I mean, hit him with that ooh ooh and that ooh wee. You know what I mean? Where he went behind his back, and then just crossed him up completely, got him reaching, got his hand in the cookie pot or in the cookie jar, excuse me, and finished with that big slam. But you know, there's a pretty funny meme going around, or at least a screenshot of it. But like I said, it's tough day at the office for James Harden, but it wasn't just him. You know, everyone else did not play well. Like, and not saying that they didn't play well is putting it nicely. Chris Paul, double for Chris Paul, but you know, 13 points, 10 rebounds. Again, just not an efficient shooting night for anybody really. You know, Chris Paul 5 for 16. Trevor Ariza 2 for 6, PJ Tucker 2 for 5. You know, especially after the huge games that they had, and since they were such a huge part of why they won in Game 2. You know, like I said, nothing from them. You know, and then and you know, similar to the Cavs, is a team that lives by the three and dies by the three essentially. No 3-point shooting. 32% as a team. Ariza 0 for 2. PJ Tucker 2 for 3, Chris Paul 2 for 8, Harden 2 for 6, Eric Gordon 2 for 8, Gerald Green 2 for 6. You know, just wasn't great. You know, really, it just was not good. So like I said, there's not much else to say really. Just they wasn't a good game. Other than now Game 4 is a must win for the Rockets. They do not want to go back home down 3-1, especially for one game. Because it goes, if you're not familiar, the format goes there's 7-game series, 2 games at home, or it goes 2-2, 1-1-1. So the Warriors already proved they can win in Houston pretty decisively. So they, you know, they like I said, they don't want to go back home with no momentum. So it's going to be very tough, especially if the Warriors are playing like the way they played last night. You know, it's going to be tough, you know, and, you know, but I mean, my money as of now is still on the Warriors, whether they win it in Game 5 in Houston, excuse me, or they go back to home and win it in 6. I don't know, but, you know, it's like I said, it looks like it's all Warriors at this point. And like I said, it's just, you know, Steph's back. I mean, what else to say? Steph's back. And like I said, speaking of, you know, someone being back or teams being back, that game on Saturday, talk about a complete 180 for both teams. A complete 180 in, you know, in how this series gone so far. But Game 3, man, if you hadn't heard or knew nothing about how the Eastern Conference Finals has gone so far, and you just tuned in and watched, you'd think that the Cavs were, you know, a shoo-in favorite to win this whole series or go all the way to win, because, like I said, they completely turned it around. And on the flip side, the Celtics just looked like fucking dog shit. They just looked so bad, and it's very uncharacteristic of them. But the final for the Cavs and the Celtics was 116-86 Cavaliers. They just smacked the shit out of the Celtics, pretty much right off the bat. You know, right from the get-go. You know, they had a huge first quarter. You know, at one point, I think the lead was like 20 points in the first quarter, something crazy. And just like I said, it was pretty much over right from the start. You know, the Cavs finally had that game that I said that they needed to have. You know, they, like I mentioned in the last episode, they needed to have a game, and they were probably going to get it at home. They needed to have that game where it's a big game from LeBron. You know, it wasn't, this game wasn't the typical monster game that LeBron usually has, you know, where he'll put up like 30 and have like a huge triple-double or anything. You know, he played well. Don't get me wrong. He played very well. Finished with 27 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds, very efficient, like always, you know, 8 for 12 from the field. Made all of his threes. It was a great game from LeBron. You know, like I said, they needed a big game from LeBron, but his supporting cast needed to not just step up and play well, but they needed to knock down their threes. And that is exactly what they did. They finished shooting 50% as a team, which is way better than what they've done before. Like I said, they were like in the 20s from before that. But everyone was knocking down their threes. You Was it? I'm not Tristan Thompson, obviously, but George Hill making threes. George Hill had 3 threes. J.R. Smith had 3 threes. Clarkson had 3 threes. Corver was perfect from downtown. He was 4 for 4. Like I said, LeBron himself had some threes. But like I said, it wasn't all just threes. But that really helped. They had 17 threes as a team. Like I said, for 50%, which is, you do the math, that's pretty damn good. But everyone else just played well. Kevin Love, another double-double for Kevin Love. 13 points, 14 rebounds. Almost a double-double for Tristan Thompson, 10.7 rebounds. But Tristan Thompson, again, it's not necessarily what shows up in the stats sheet that's what makes his game better or what makes him valuable to the team. It's he was setting a lot of good screens. He was getting disrupting the paint a little bit, making a lot of guys uncomfortable. Taking it to the rack. Excuse me, but yeah, big, not necessarily a big game. But George Hill played well. He came out. He was one of the guys that was helping get off to that great start in the first quarter. He finished with 13 points. And then again, same thing with Jordan Clarkson off the bench. He only made 3 shots and they were all threes. But like I said, they were all huge threes. They needed every one of them. And it was like I said, just the type of win, the type of game that they needed in order to get the type of win that they needed. Like I said, something about being back in Cleveland. For any team, it's something about being back at home is great, but specifically with Cleveland, they just love playing in the Q, and we saw that. They just, like I said, they were just playing extremely well. Can't say the same for the Celtics. I don't know what was going on with them. Like I said, it was a completely uncharacteristic game for them. They just played like they just looked like shit, played like shit. Their body language was horrible. They just look completely uninspired, and like I said, the final score and everything else just is a result of that, or shows that that's a result of that. They, as a team, they finished 39% from the field, 27% from 3, which is, again, not good for any team, and especially for these guys this team because they've been playing so well. Not just in this series against the Cavs, but just the whole playoffs and this for the whole season in general. Honestly, they've been playing great, and it's just, like I said, it's just no one played well. Jason Tatum's still the leading scorer, 18 points. He had a good game. Jason Tatum had a good game. The lone bright spot in this whole, it's just this is just a yucky game. Like I said, 18 points, 6 for 10 from the field. But yeah, everywhere else just not good. 9 points from Marcus Morris, 7 points from Al Horford, which is, again, just not, especially how important Al Horford has been for this team. Just not a great game from him. Terry Rozier had 13 points, but he was 5 for 12 from the field, not good. Jaylen Brown, same thing, he was not good. 10 points, but only 3 for 8. And I know, like I said, a lot of them, they didn't get a chance to play really much in the fourth quarter just because. Like I said, the route was on. The Brad Stevens just called off the dogs and put the bench guys in and stuff. But that's just, like I said, just not a good game. Not a good game at all. Like I said, it looks like this is more than likely just a one-time deal. The Celtics have been, like I said, a game like this for the Celtics is the complete outlier, and. It doesn't happen all the time, obviously, and like I said, this is the deviation from the norm. They should be okay tonight. I'm more than confident that they'll be able to make their adjustments for this game, for Game 4. Like I said, they've been cruising. They've been on cruise control essentially for the most of the playoffs. This is the most adversity, quote unquote, or as air quotes, as much adversity as they faced so far, that they've seen since the overtime game against Philly. And they just, I feel like it's good for them because they needed to get punched in the mouth a little bit. Because it's like they've been riding high for so long. Sometimes you got to come back down to earth just a little bit, and this was that little humbling moment. So, like I said, I'm confident they'll be fine going forward. I still think they're going to win the series, whether it's not going to be a sweep anymore, obviously, but whether it's in 5 games or maybe even 6, like I said, I don't see it really going 7, especially since they got to go back to Boston twice now. or 2 more times if that's the case. But like I said, I'm completely confident in them. I think they can, they can steal one tonight, or not necessarily steal one, but like I said, they'll make their adjustments. They'll figure out what's going on. Like I said, they shouldn't play like this 2 games in a row, and they should, like I said, be able to finish up the series strong. But quickly before I finish up with the Cavs with all this basketball talk, if I'm being completely honest, both these series have been pretty poop. Not gonna lie, like just not it's just as entertaining as it is for the individual fan bases of the teams who are blowing out the other team that's great. But as even as someone who is just an overall basketball fan that likes watching the game, this is not fun. It's really not fun. It's entertaining for a little bit, but after a while it's like, okay, like when you see them get hot and when they build up the blowout, like in the first quarter for the Cavs or in the third quarter for the Warriors, like that's always entertaining. That's fun. But after that, it's not fun. Like I said, these one-sided blowouts usually aren't great games. They're great little moments, but as far as the whole game goes, it's not fun. I'm just waiting for the game when both teams are firing on all cylinders. Especially the Warriors and the Warriors and the Rockets. We've seen that they can do it. Obviously, the Warriors did it in Game 1 and Game 3. The Rockets did it in Game 2. Like I said, they can do it. Just waiting for them to do it at the same time against each other. So, like I said, not taking away from the series, but it could be just much better. And like I said, and the thing is because we know it can be better. But yeah, like I said, Game 4 is tonight for the Celtics and the Cavs. And like I said, hopefully both teams can get on the same page and fire on all cylinders, and we can get a more competitive game going forward. But yeah, that's it for the round ball. I'm gonna try to quickly breeze through everything else that happened in the world of sports. With baseball, Dodgers, baby. Dodgers got a 4-game win streak. 4-game win streak going. They finished out the series with the Marlins with a win, and they swept the Nationals. And that was a series that I was the most scared of, as far as I thought that they were going to have the most trouble in this one. Just because, like I said, the Nationals were playing very good baseball. They were really hot and stuff like that going forward, or going into the series, excuse me. But shit, shows how much I know. Like I said, it shows what I know. Like I said, the Dodgers played good baseball. They played good, solid baseball. They got the benefit of having to play a doubleheader on Saturday. It got their game on Friday got rained out. Like I said, good back-to-back wins on the same day on Saturday. Good win again yesterday on Sunday. And like I said, it's just it's still got a long way to go, like an uphill climb from here. But like I said, it's a good way to build momentum coming back home. They got a nice little home stretch for a couple series. Starting tonight, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It starts tonight. Yes, it starts tonight. Like I said, big week for the Dodgers. Big week for the Dodgers again, starting tonight. They're back at home, but playing the Rockies, who have been playing great baseball lately. Nolan Arenado, fucking beast. Already early favorite for NL MVP, playing extremely well. They're playing against the Rockies from now till Wednesday, and then for the weekend they got the Padres. But big week for the Dodgers because this is a big opportunity for them to move up in the division standings. Last time they had a series like that, they played all 3 teams, the other 3 teams on the road, and it wasn't that great. But like I said, now they're at home. They got some momentum. Going into the series, both series now, and hopefully they can capitalize on it. And like I said, just get some good, well needed division wins. Little minor setback from the weekend was Rich Hill. I think his blister busted open again, but he's having complications with that blister on his finger. And listen, I know people. I see it on like Twitter, I see it on Instagram comments and stuff like that. They're like saying, why, gut it out. Why are you not gutting it out? Blah blah blah. It's just a blister. Blah, blah, blah. You can't, just whatever. Stop being a pussy. Stop being blah blah blah. Talking all this shit. But first of all, that shit. As someone who used to pitch, playing baseball my whole life, as someone who used to pitch, and someone who relied heavily on my curveball as much as I know Rich Hill does. I'm not comparing myself to Rich Hill, but as someone who has done this shit before, that shit fucking hurts. Having a pitch with a blister, especially when you grab that baseball on those laces and like I said, someone who relies on his curveball as much as Rich Hill does, that torque that he creates is why he gets those blisters. And if he doesn't twist, if he doesn't snap that thing off the way he usually does, it's not going to break as much as it does, and it's not going to be as effective, obviously leading to more hits, blah, 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 whatever. So that's part of it. Those are two parts of it. Is one, it hurts like fucking hell. Two, it hinders his ability to get the most out of his curveball. And three, there's always a potential for it to bust open and start bleeding, and you need to get it, he needs that. This has been an issue happening for a while now, so it seems like it feels like it's time for a change. Something's got to give. Like they got to do something else to try to figure out a way to keep this covered. And he can't tape it. That's the other thing. You cannot tape it or cover it because as a pitcher, it's in the rules. You can't have anything on your hands or arms that would distract the batter. Whether that's tape, certain wristbands, anything. You can't have anything. So you can't tape your fingers. You can't tape your hands or anything. So it's in a sticky situation. They got to figure this thing out though, because we really need Rich Hill, especially since we're down another pitcher in Ryu. We're down our ace in Clayton Kershaw for now. So like I said, hopefully we can get that figured out. But again, we'll take the good with when we can. It's been few and far between for good moments, and this is a good little 4-game win streak. Hopefully we can keep it going for the rest of the week, and like I said, get some big wins in the division and move our way up from there. So that's how the Dodgers were this past weekend, moving down the 5 to the Angels. Had a little 5-game skitter over there. We weren't playing good baseball, and like I said, it happened. It's just the way it goes. They were playing really well for a while, and then sometimes you just kind of, it's just a little roller coaster. You try to keep the peaks and valleys, not so high and far apart and stuff. You try to keep it nice and as even keel as possible. They got away from themselves a little bit. Like I said, 5 games isn't that great, but like I said, they stopped that skid on Sunday. Like I said, big game from Ohtani. Great pitching outing from Ohtani on Sunday. Like I said, he's just, every time I know I mentioned him a lot on this show and this podcast, but damn, he is playing so well. It's so impressive, It's so impressive, just what he's been able to do. And like I said, he helped. Like I said, he's a big part of how they're doing things. And I know like Mike Trout, who's also another guy who's in the running for MVP, but in the AL, he's playing well. But like I said, some guys, Mike Trout's gonna get his. He's gonna be fine. Ohtani's looked extremely impressive. We all know that, but it's just the other cast of characters. They gotta, it's just that's just the way it goes. They're gonna be up and down. They're gonna have their peaks and valleys, and that was just their little skid. Hopefully they can. They can get it right, they're going to be, it's going to be tough, though. It's going to be tough. They're third in the AL West now. Third in the AL West. They're going on the road for the rest of the month. They had a nice little homestand for a while. I stayed pretty close to home and stuff, but like I said, going over to the East Coast, starting in Toronto this week. Then they're going over to play the Yankees for the weekend. Like I said, it's going to be tough, Yankees more so than the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are having their, you want to talk about tough seasons. And if you think the Dodgers had a tough time or having a tough time, talk about the Blue Jays, man. They're having a very bad time over there, up in there in Toronto this season. But like I said, big road trip for the Angels, and hopefully they can make the most out of it. That's all you can ask for at this point. So that's how baseball was. Quickly for the rest of the sports. Vegas, baby. Vegas Golden Knights are going to the NHL Finals. Holy fucking shit. They defeated the Winnipeg Jets 4-1. But you know what I mean? They've been dominating these playoffs, too. I know they swept the Kings. I think the last series they won pretty decisively as well. Again, 4-1 over the Winnipeg Jets. And they're playing for the damn Stanley Cup. They're the first expansion team to do this, I think, in like 50 years, as what I saw, if I'm not mistaken. And it looks like they're going to be the favorites. I think last I saw, they were like 4-1 favorites. And they're going to play either the Lightning or the Capitals. And I'm not going to act like I know anything about hockey because I don't know shit about hockey. But I do know that the Capitals have traditionally or historically been a little bit better than the Lightning. But I know obviously these guys or these teams are in the playoffs for a reason. They're this far in the postseason for a reason. But from if I'm not mistaken, I think the Vegas Golden Knights are they're favored in this, and which is crazy to think of. When they started out before the year, they were 500 to 1 odds to win the Stanley Cup. 500 to 1 odds. That means if you put $1, just $1, and they win the Stanley Cup, $500 in your pocket. And man, I wish I put some fucking money on that shit. God damn, it's just even $1. Just like, oh, that's cute. There was so much reason to do it. Expansion team, new team in Vegas, so that's funny. Golden Knights, that's a kind of a funny name. Like I said, there's a lot of ironic, comedic reasons to put money on it, and god damn, I don't know why I didn't do it. But yeah, big ups to Vegas Golden Knights. It's a great little Cinderella story, I guess, you want to call it. But it's cool to see, and like I said, hopefully it'll help get hockey some extra credibility, or you know what I mean. More people will be tuned in to watch that. But yeah, that's what's going on. That's my little hockey bit. That's what I wanted to talk about. Luka Doncic. So he's been in the news, obviously because he's one of the top picks. But this past weekend, Luka Doncic led his EuroLeague team, Real Madrid, to the EuroLeague title, just adding to his resume that he's already built up for the last year or so. He like I said, I guess I just had to look back. I knew about all the EuroLeague stuff he's been doing, but I guess there's this other league in Europe. Like I said, I don't know much about your international basketball, European, international, whatever, all that stuff. I don't really know much about it. I'm not going to act like I know all this stuff. I'm just getting all the stuff I have here to make the case. But he made the all-Euro basket team. He led his Euro basket team to a championship, so that's his other championship he's got. He was one of the rising stars, was the EuroLeague MVP, and now he's a EuroLeague champion, and he's a EuroLeague Final Four MVP, which is essentially like winning the Bill Russell Award for the playoff MVP. And all he's doing all this, and he's 19? I think he just turned 19 pretty recently. Yeah, he's 19 years old. Holy shit, that's crazy. So like I said, this guy, the sky's the limit for this guy. Like I said, he's just built up this amazing resume for the last almost a year or so. Topped it all off, EuroLeague champ, MVP, all that stuff. And, he said he's gonna just enjoy this moment right now. He's not gonna reveal what his plans are for the future just yet. But, the draft is pretty much, it's it. We all know he's gonna go to the draft. At least we all think he should go to the draft. But now it's just the point where he's going to go. I think he needs to go first overall to the Suns. I think he'd be a great fit. It'll obviously for all the reasons I mentioned in past episodes, you can check it out there. But no matter what happens, no matter where he goes, I think he's gonna be all right. Whether he's like he's the next Larry Bird, like some people are saying, or whatever, we'll have to wait and see. But shit, man, he looks like he should be fine and have a pretty good NBA career going forward. But yeah, whoever gets him is going to get a pretty damn good player. And finishing things off in the world of sports, hot off the press from ESPN's Darren Ravel, some wrestling news. It looks like SmackDown Live, the Blue brand, is going to be moving to Fox. Yes, you heard that right. It's moving to Fox. NBC Universal, which is the big television company that owns USA Network, which is where SmackDown Live is currently aired. Apparently they turned down the offer to keep SmackDown, and they just want to focus on Raw, or Monday Night Raw, which sounds odd, and it kind of is. But for those of you who are not familiar, so for WWE wrestling, formerly WWF, a lot of you might only remember as WWF, but anyway, the big wrestling, Vince McMahon's wrestling promotion, WWE, they have 2 live shows that are airing, that air weekly, Monday Night Raw, and as of right now, it's Tuesday Night SmackDown. And like I said, that's where they air their TV shows, and then they continue the storylines and all that stuff, whatever. It's between the two, Monday Night Raw is the more popular one. It's been the longest running one. If I'm not mistaken, it's the longest running live TV program in history. It's been on the air since like 1989 or 1990 or something like that. It's been going on for a long time. Every single Monday for the last like almost 30 years they've been going every single Monday. And so like I said, it's very, very impressive. But between Raw and SmackDown, like I said, Raw is the bigger brand. It holds more weight within the company. That's where they try to do more bigger storyline. They try to have bigger acts on it, or bigger headliners and stuff like that. They try to do more on Raw, and SmackDown is like the smaller, quote unquote, smaller brand. Raw is 3 hours long, which it sounds like a lot, and it is. Trust me. SmackDown is 2 hours long. It's on Tuesday. They get the Monday night slot for Raw and all that stuff. So Raw is essentially the bigger brand. And like I said, so NBC Universal wants to focus on Raw. And like I said, with all the stuff going on right now, there's not a whole lot of detail as far as, the decision why NBC was willing to let Fox go, or let why NBC didn't want to keep SmackDown. There's not a whole lot of details on what's going to happen with it with SmackDown on Fox, but it looks like it's going to air, or the change is going to happen around the fall of 2019. And like I said, that's really all the information a lot of us have. And I say us as far as like, the fans and news that's out. But this is big news. This is very, very big news for all parties involved. For WWE, for Fox, with Fox, it's for those of you who aren't familiar, but it's pretty obvious for people who are fans of sports media and stuff like that, where live TV rights are king right now. People, that's really what people want to watch. They just want to watch live TV. And like I said, it's what better thing to jump on than one of the in professional wrestling. It's why not get in that market? It's a huge market. It's worldwide appeal. It's big in the U.S. Like I said, it's big everywhere else in the world. I know, like I said, Raw is the quote unquote bigger brand and more well known brand, but SmackDown itself is doing really well for themselves currently. And it's not like they're brand new either. They've been around for a long time. They've been around since like 1999, I believe. So they've been going for just as long. They've been going for about 20 years now. And so SmackDown is good. Like I said, they get good ratings every week. Regardless of if the product is good, but they get good ratings. And like I said, just the market as far as with wrestling in general, all the merchandising, the ads and all that stuff. It's a great business to get into, especially since, if I'm not mistaken, Fox is losing their UFC rights to ESPN. And I know that there's the whole Fox Disney thing, joining, or whatever you want to call it, partnership. And ESPN is a part of Disney, so it's like, is Fox really losing it? Who knows? But like I said, all those details, it's not completely public knowledge yet, so we're not 100% sure on that. So as of now, it looks like Fox is losing the UFC. And so, like I said, why not try to keep some of the live, what people in the industry like to call combat sports, boxing, UFC, professional wrestling falls into that category. And so, like I said, they're trying to, if they're losing one, try to get back into the other one. As increasingly popular as MMA and UFC is getting, wrestling is continues to be that just as popular, and even more popular, arguably. And then it's like I said, it's big news for Fox, big news for WWE. Big for them to get on Fox. It should be able to get them a bigger outreach. They're kind of not stuck on USA Network, because they say they get good ratings regardless, but they're on USA Network, but they're moving to like I said, a big network company like Fox. Now, as far as, like I said, there's not a lot of details, so I don't know if it's going to be on like the main like cable channel or basic cable channel that everyone gets. Here in LA, it's channel 11. I know in other places like Fox 10 or 5, or the beginning channels that everyone always gets no matter what. I don't know if it's going to air on that channel or if it's going to air on FS1. I know they have an FS2. I don't think it's going to be that far down the down the line, but it could be FS1. I don't know what it's going to be, but either way, it's big for them. And then now it kind of, so like I mentioned, SmackDown is growing in popularity, and a big part of that is because for wrestling, WWE specifically, the roster, the company is so big, and the roster of superstars and talent is so big that they split up the different shows, have different wrestlers and different superstars on them, and they do like a draft where different superstars go to different shows. And this most recent one, a lot of the bigger name guys and women, I mean guys generically, but a lot of the bigger name superstars, both men and women, moved from Raw to SmackDown. And everyone, when it happened, everyone was doing the, who won the draft and blah, blah, blah for WWE and the Superstar Shakeup. And everyone was like, unanimous decision was SmackDown won. They got a lot of great talent, a lot of big names moved over there. A lot of headlining guys or headlining superstars, again, men and women, moved over to SmackDown. And it was kind of confusing for a little bit because it's like, wow, usually all the bigger name superstars are on Raw because it's the bigger show. But it was kind of refreshing at the same time because like it's good to see these people get, because maybe it'll bring more light to SmackDown, more people, it'll kind of spread the wealth. But like I said, it looks like it makes more sense because they put the bigger names on SmackDown in order to get ratings up for SmackDown, because they want to show these companies, hey, look, we have a good product on SmackDown as well. If they were shopping it around, which it looks like they obviously were, and plus when they looks like they want to maybe keep the superstars on SmackDown, because once they switch over to Fox, people are going to want to see them. People say, oh, I've heard of The Miz. I remember him from the real world. People are like, oh, I've heard of Samoa Joe from other things. I've heard of AJ Styles. I've heard of Shinsuke Nakamura, or at least these guys or these superstars. Or I've heard of Charlotte Flair. Isn't that Ric Flair's daughter? I've heard of her. Or, oh, hey, isn't that one girl that's on Total Divas now? What's her name? And then they'll see them on SmackDown, and then they're like, oh, so then they'll want to watch. So like I said, it's good for SmackDown, and then plus, it looks like they're taking this kind of quote unquote risk because they'll be able to rely on the strength of the brand of Raw to carry the superstars, the lesser known superstars, or use it as a jump off platform. And they'll, like I said, they'll call up people, they'll bring in new faces, and it's like they'll come to Raw and the fans will see them on Raw and will say, oh, they're on Raw, they must be important because we know that Raw is the bigger brand. And we know that Vince McMahon cherishes Raw and sees Raw again as the bigger brand. So like I said, if they want him or her to be on Raw, they must be important. They must be good. A little wrestling psychology 101 for you unfamiliar fans out there. So like I said, it's just a big move for everyone involved. And like I said, I'm excited to find out more details. I'm very interested to see more details as they come out. Because like I said, not very much is known. Like I said, a lot of the stuff I was talking about is all speculation. But yeah, it's like I said, it's very interesting to see. But that's going to do it for sports. I'm going to quickly run through what happened in the world of not sports. Starting in Hollywood, Deadpool 2 doing numbers. Deadpool is doing numbers. More money for Marvel, more money for Disney. Please stop it. Can we just give them? Can we give it a break a little bit here? Deadpool 2, like I said, doing numbers, securing the motherfucking bag. $301 million worldwide. $125 million in the U.S. Second most money for an R-rated movie in its first week. Behind, what do you guys think? Drum roll. Deadpool 1, that's right. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, like I said, it's doing really well. I heard everyone says it's great. People think it's funny. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm probably gonna see it tomorrow for the $5 Tuesdays. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Hey man, it's tough out here for everybody. You know what I mean? It's hard for everybody. So you gotta save a penny where you can. So like I said, $5 Tuesdays is good for me. But I'm gonna check it out. And I'm gonna try to check it out now. Because and Marvel, Deadpool, everyone that's involved should enjoy it now. They gotta enjoy it now, because goddamn, another Disney movie is coming down the chute. Solo is coming out this weekend, and it's probably going to crush in the box office because all the reviews have been great about it so far. So like I said, and plus it's Star Wars, so anything Star Wars related, everyone's going to go see. And like I said, just putting more money in Disney and Bob Iger's pocket. So, but yeah, like I said, not taking away from Deadpool 2. That's what we're talking about here. Great movie. From what I've seen, just securing the bag. And like I said, it's everyone said it's good, so I'm going to check it out. If you enjoyed it, let me know. Or if you don't want me to see it, let me know too. Like I said, let me know how you feel. Sticking in Hollywood-ish kind of. Billboard Music Awards were last night as well. If you've been listening to the podcast or anything, throughout the time that I've been doing it, you know that I'm not a big fan of music awards or just big award shows in general. I understand that they serve a purpose, and I understand what they're for. I just don't think that they're the be-all, end-all as far as a rating or a validation of talent or anything like that. You know what I mean? To some people it is, but to other people, people like me, I don't think it's, like I said, it's not the be-all, end-all. But anyway, I don't really care much about who won. It's whatever, because the billboards, it's usually just whoever's the highest grossing and whoever sells the most stuff. So like I said, you can kind of get an idea of who won, and they did win. Ed Sheeran, Cardi B, Kendrick Lamar, Bruno Mars, typical names. But what I was interested in and what I was impressed with were some of the performances. Specifically, Salt and Peppa had a performance with En Vogue. They did Push It, they did Shoop, and they did What a Man with En Vogue. That shit was fucking tight. Bigging up all the women. And speaking on the topic of bigging up women, Janet Jackson was given the Icon Award, which is essentially like a Lifetime Achievement Award. And she put on a great live performance. And she had to do like a medley of all her big songs throughout the years. And like I said, if you're a fan of Janet Jackson like I am, you know that there is a lot of songs that she had to go through. Some were left out. Like I said, and then, like I said, her career is spans so wide, and it's just so great. And I think they said it was her first TV performance in like 9 years or something. Like I said, so it was great to see her performing, looking good. She had a kid. She had some kind of I think she had to get some kind of surgery. She had some kind of whether it was like a disease or something happened where she had to go to get surgery. Like I said, she's had a lot of health issues and stuff, or health-related things going on in the last couple of years. And so, like I said, it was great to see her out looking great, performed great, did a good job. And like I said, it was just amazing to see. And just also, like I said, just take some time. If you got some time this week, if you're driving home, when you're not listening to Brown Mamba radio, if you're in the shower, if you're cooking, if you're doing anything, just listen to some Janet Jackson. It's good music. Listen to 80s Janet Jackson specifically. If in my opinion, listen to 80s Janet Jackson. But just listen to any Janet Jackson. Some of her new stuff too. I love her new stuff as well. But just listen to some Janet. Miss Jackson, If You're Nasty. It's good music. It's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you want to dance. You know what I mean? So, like I said, take the time out to listen to that. And like I said, and big ups to Janet Jackson. Miss Jackson, If You're Nasty. And big up to Salt and Peppa. Big up to En Vogue. And big up to everyone else that won. I still got to take time to that. But yeah, sticking with music. A$AP Rocky. Testing. The album is finally done. He announced it on Twitter. Or after his performance, which he did. But his album's finally done. The long-awaited album Testing is finally done. We got to see the artwork for it and stuff, and some lucky fans in New York got to see at Sotheby's. Got to see his performance called Lab Rats. It's first things first. If you haven't seen it or heard of it, I suggest you go watch it first. Just watch it and experience it yourself. It's from the mind, I guess, of A$AP Rocky. It's this. Let's put interesting performance art that he did for the album. It's essentially to announce that it's done and show off the artwork for it and play a couple songs and stuff while he was there. But it was performance art you know, that's what he did. And like I said, just go watch it for yourself. It's interesting. It's bizarre. He was in this like glass or plexiglass box case thing. It's this big ass box, and it started off with him. He was in like an ice bath, and then he came out of the ice bath, and he was like shivering and changed and all this stuff. And there were these, people outside in lab coats, and they had like monitors that had like graphics on them that were like vital signs and computer stuff and all this shit like that. And there was people in lab coats instructing him to do these seemingly random tasks the whole time, and they were kind of doing it like prompting him, like kind of like I said, in an orderly thing, and like a lab rat, he had to do them no matter what it was that they asked. It wasn't anything super crazy. But like I said, he was in the ice baths. He did like they had like this like little weird workout station, like a really generic workout station he did some workout things on. They had him sit down, and he had to answer some kind of like existential questions, some funny questions, but he had to answer questions. He had to do like he had to eat like spicy peppers to like test pain. It's interesting. Like I said, just go watch it. There were even some like dancers with like choreography that all just ended up towards the end that just went inside the little room and stuff. It was, like I said, it's just trippy. Just go watch it. It's trippy. It's interesting. It went along, being called Lab Rats. It went along with the whole testing theme of the album. The album's like I said, it's called Testing. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure what it all meant. It was, like I said, it was interesting to see. But I'm sure it's related to testing, A$AP Rocky, specifically like testing like different tests on him, all his experiences as a human or in his life, and then different tests that we go through as humans in life and stuff like that. I'm sure that's kind of where it's going. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. But like I said, it was interesting to say the least. And the whole time that they were doing it, not the whole time, but throughout it, they were playing some old stuff. Like A$AP Ferg came out, they played some old A$AP Rocky stuff and old A$AP Mob stuff. But then they played some newer stuff that we hadn't heard yet, and that was cool. And a lot of them the beat sounded fire, which is which is what to always expect when it's A$AP. But the beats were fire. Some of the songs were fire. They sounded fire at least, and I hadn't heard them before, so that's cool. I'm juiced up for that. No word, I don't think, on when the album is actually coming. I think it's coming soon. I know it's coming soon, but like I said, just go watch for yourself. It's interesting. It's cool. And like I said, I can't wait for the new A$AP Rocky album. He's been doing a lot of fashion stuff lately, which is cool. But like I said, a lot of people just want to hear A$AP Rocky rap because he's a damn good rapper. But yeah, that was that. And then the last thing, quickly, I'm trying to get through it. If you have time, go watch. It's on YouTube. Go watch John Oliver's piece from last week tonight, where he explains the problem with rehab facilities here in America. He does a great job explaining how flawed the system is for rehab facilities, both like for drug rehab, alcohol rehab, any kind of rehab, and just sheds light on, like I said, just how broken and how flawed and how much of a sometimes how huge of a scam a lot of them are. Especially nowadays where drug addiction and alcoholism and mainly with the opiate addiction is it's so relevant in the lexicon right now, and so many people are trying to get help. But a lot of these, just like anything else, a lot of these these businesses are profiting and taking advantage of these people in horrible situations and just profiting off of them. And like I said, it's good. Go watch it. And for me personally, as someone who works in healthcare, I found it as much of it. I already knew most of it because even though I don't directly see, I don't work in a rehab center or anything. I don't directly see how things work, like the day-to-day of it, but working in healthcare and working with working around other people who have worked at places like that before or deal with people like that directly, you hear stuff and it's you know what's true, you know what's not true and stuff like that. But I directly see the results of the care and or lack thereof, lack of care that comes from these healthcare these rehab facilities or quote unquote rehab facilities and all that stuff. And because I deal with I in my line of work as in healthcare, I deal with people who have drug addiction. I deal with people who have alcoholism and how it's affected them, whether they're homeless or whether they come in, whether they're high on a drug, they've overdosed, and you have to do something to save their life or anything. I deal with that shit a lot, and you hear all these stories. These people try to go get help, and we do what we can. Where I work, we do what we can to try to help them out, to help these people out. We give them the resources to get help themselves. We know it's not. We know it's a hard road. I know it's a hard road. I know it's a hard path. Dealing with addiction, dealing with recovery. I know it's a vicious cycle, and it's a never-ending process. But it really breaks my heart when you see these people who really want help. I've seen people come in, going through withdrawals because they're trying to quit drinking or doing drugs cold turkey, and it just fucks their body up, and they don't know what to do. And you're like, what are you doing? Like, we can get you help. And they're like, no. And they say, most of them say the same thing is, I've gone to these places before. They don't do anything for me, because they just do these bullshit therapy, quote unquote therapy sessions, and stuff like that. And they're like, I don't really get help. I have to spend this money, or my family spends this money, and I don't get help. I really don't get help. So they're trying to quit cold turkey, which is really, really unhealthy and really unsafe. And so, like I said, it's just and for those people who don't know or choose not to know, because a lot of people know about it, but they just choose not to know about it. Like I said, it's there. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. It's great. Like I said, if you got about 10, 15 minutes or so, I think that's how long it is. Just watch it. It sheds some light on the issue itself. And shout out to John Oliver in general, honestly, because he does this for a lot of problems in the country. And like I said, he is a performer, and his show. I wasn't the biggest fan of it initially because I thought it was just, like making it all about him and stuff like that. And, it was, I felt it was kind of like a Jon Stewart Daily Show copycat, whatever. But after watching the video, I've seen other stuff and I was like, okay, I liked it. And then I watched this video and I kind of fell into the YouTube wormhole of watching John Oliver videos last night and stuff. And, he's good, man. He's really good. I know why he wins all these awards and stuff. He's really good. And it's based in comedy. I know that, but with the rehab video, he's on other really good ones, like the one about pyramid schemes. There's one about that's a good one. That's about the one about retirement. That's good. All these different things, and it's based in comedy, but they're still very educational. And they're based on facts and really, really good detailed research. And like I said, you learn, even though, like I said, you'll laugh, but you'll learn as well. And a lot of part of why you laugh is because it sounds silly. It's like, oh, of course that's what's going on. But yeah, and it's silly because it's like it's almost like the like a dark humor, because it's like, wow, it's so ridiculous that this goes on, but at the same time it's like, wow, this really goes on, and it really makes you want to reevaluate a lot of stuff. And yeah, like I said, I'm just rambling on it now, but just like I said, just go watch it. They're great, and like I said, you'll laugh, but most importantly, you'll learn. Yeah, so watch that one about the rehab. Not just the rehab one, the other ones. They're great. They're pretty good. Some of them are a little bit longer than usual, but like I said, if you got some time before you go to bed or something, just watch them or something like that. If you're on the toilet, you got your phone anyway, just sit and watch it on YouTube. Like I said, they're very, very good. And like I said, and this one specifically kind of had a special place in my heart, because especially, like I said, since I deal with people who are affected by the flawed rehab system here in the United States. But yeah, not to end on a sour note or anything or a grim note, but that's it for me today. Thank you for listening, like always. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I don't ask for much, but all I ask is that you guys just, if you like what you heard, just subscribe, like, share, comment, tell a friend that might like it. But like I said, subscribe. I gotta get my SoundCloud clout back up. Like I said, I lost my old SoundCloud that was getting better. Lost it, so like I said, I gotta get my numbers up. But subscribe, SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn, anywhere else you find podcasts, I'm there. And then also, like I said, if it's iTunes, leave a rating, something like that. Leave 5 stars. Hopefully you want to leave 5 stars. If you think I'm shit and you want to leave me 1 star, just don't have anything nice to say. Don't say it at all, please. But yeah, if you got something nice to say, please leave 5 stars. 4 stars at the lowest. 3 is pushing it, okay? 3 is pushing it. 4 or 5 stars only around here. Like I said, rate, review, all that good stuff. And also if you want to, drop me a line, say what's up. You want to argue with me about some of my takes. Maybe you don't like John Oliver. Maybe you think the SmackDown move to Fox is stupid. Maybe you hated the A$AP Rocky Lab Rats thing he did, or you thought it was fucking weird, stupid art bullshit, or anything else. Let me know. Follow me on all the socials. Hit me up, ladies. Slide in those DMs if that's your foray. But yeah, all the socials. Brown Mamba Radio, Brown Mamba. My personal one, JXCKXNNN. Well, JACKSXNNN. I think I've read the S in the first one. But yeah, just look it up. I'm there. And then, like always, everything is available on the blog. Shout out to all the blog boys. Everything's available on the blog, brownmamba.us. Like I said, I can't thank you guys enough for listening. Hopefully you guys all enjoy the rest of your week. Hopefully you guys, and for everyone that was, whether you ate too much this weekend from EatsCon or any other food thingy, hopefully you guys are recovering well. You go to the gym, you sweat all that shit out, you work it all off, do some push-ups, some yoga, run on the treadmill, whatever. All my EDC peeps, all my candy kids, hopefully you guys recover well, so you guys can, can take on the week. Hopefully you're not dragging ass all the way through your work week. But yeah, I'll try to be back with you guys on Friday. So I'll see you guys then. And like I said, don't just have a good week, everybody. Make it a good week. Drink more water. Health is wealth. Please be kind to each other out there. It's easy to be nice. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.